AI reached the common man 2 years back. But AI has been existing in the industry for a while. So we dabbled with it around 8 years back in the context of what can we do using machine learning and deep learning in the context of the use cases we unlock for the clients. But during those days, our focus was on building the technology and not using the technology. We basically said we need to pivot to ensure that the technology is made available in the use cases we are providing to the clients. When we started our business in 2002, we used to deploy our solution at the bank. It is deployed on the bank's hardware, the bank's infrastructure, etc. But in 2015, we saw that cloud is going to be up for a big adoption. We decided we want to move all our capability to software as a service model on the cloud. And that's where Microsoft came in. So we have 9 years of experience of working together in rolling out software as a service solution for banks on Microsoft cloud infrastructure.
Hello and welcome to Techcetra, your go-to podcast for everything tech and business. I'm your host Karthik, and today we are going to talk about Zafin's journey and its innovative solution with Mr. Venugopalan. On this episode, we are joined by Mr. Anugopal Venugopalan, Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Zafin. With over 2 decades at the intersection of enterprise software and financial services, Mr. Anugopal has been instrumental in scaling Zafin into a global banking innovation powerhouse. Today, he leads the global operations and delivery, championing client success, agile transformation, and the shift away from legacy systems. We dive into his journey, the future of banking, and what it takes to build the customer-centric, future-ready financial institutions. Welcome to Techcetra, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Karthik.
So, to start off the conversation, Zafin has been a significant player in banking software for over 2 decades. Before we begin, can you please tell our audience what does Zafin do? And would you also love to listen to the company's journey and how it has evolved to address the current needs of the banking industry?
Great. Yeah, it's a very good question. When we look at where we are today and when we look back, the journey has been simply amazing. We started this journey in 2002, and the idea we came up at that point of time was to say that the banks need to have value in the customer relationship, and hence they should be able to roll out fees and pricing strategies based on the relationship the customer has with the bank. That's where we got started. And those days it was called as a relationship-based pricing solution. Now, fast forward to 23 years from now, the journey has been pretty exciting for us and also for the clients who we have worked with. So if you look back, we learned a lot of things along the way. We looked at the market trends which are evolving. We also looked a little bit into the future of what banking holds and how we can help banks modernize and transform their business. So as we went along with this journey, we started bringing in net new capability into these banks, which included product and pricing, which included what we call as deal pricing and billing for corporate and commercial banks. The concept of how do you consolidate the customer arrangements and relationships in the context of the product holdings which the customer has with the bank. So all of them are critical components because in a bank today, most of these functions are residing in multiple core systems. Some of them are legacy, some of them are not. And the banks struggle to bring all of those into a common layer where they can look at the customer independent of the core systems where the customer products are sitting in. So abstract the product, abstract the pricing, abstract the billing, abstract the arrangements to a common layer which sits on top of their systems. Now the banks have an ability to transform and modernize the way they offer propositions, personalized offerings, and a whole bunch of customer experiences, which they were finding it very hard to do.
After hearing you out, I feel that the future of banking is in real safe hands. Zafin, if we talk about the company, it leverages AI to enhance banking operations. How does your AI-powered platform drive digital transformation for banks globally, and what unique capabilities does it offer?
So AI has been it's a very hot subject in the market, right? You will hardly find anyone who would not talk about it. I was talking to my dad the other day. He said, next time are you in town, can you teach me what this AI is all about and how it works, right? It has reached the common man. That's the truth, But we have been dabbling with AI since around 8 to 10 years back. And AI was, it's not that AI came up 2 years back. AI reached the common man 2 years back. But AI has been existing in the industry for a while. The concept of machine learning, the concept of building models, large language models, etc., used to happen. So we dabbled with it around 8 years back in the context of what can we do using machine learning and deep learning in the context of the use cases we unlock for the clients. But during those days, our focus was on building the technology and not using the technology. So we basically said, that's not really the sweet spot for us. And we need to pivot to ensure that the technology is made available in the use cases we are providing to the clients. So we started that journey in a big way 3 years back, refocusing ourselves. And what we said is we will look at AI from two perspectives. Perspective number one is how can we be a more smarter, more efficient, more productive organization by leveraging AI. So if you look at every employee in Zafin, whether it is people in the sales team, marketing team, product development team, the cloud team, the customer onboarding team, the customer service team, all of them use AI. We have GPTs which we have built, which allows us to learn things, which allows us to share knowledge, which allows us to look for solutions from past experiences, which allows us to speed up our developments, which allows us to speed up our deployments. So that is one big perspective we have in the organization. The second perspective is to say, okay, what parts of it can be made available as a part of a product, which will allow our banks to operate efficiently. So as an example, a product manager at the bank wants to know what are the competing products in the market. What are our global banks doing around a particular product space? How does my product compare with what is available in the market? So we have built AI-based capability, which allows a product manager to have a user interface and say, okay, here is where my product is. Here are the comparable products. You can do a GPT kind of interaction with between the product manager and the capability to allow for product managers to have more real-time information. So make information available to people at the bank in a much more dynamic and a real-time manner is one. The second use case we have really worked on efficiently is, let's say I'm talking to a customer, I'm trying to build an offer for the customer. So either you basically have to go through a lot of user interfaces and fill up information, but think about you having a chat GPT interface on top of that and say, okay, here is the conversation I'm having with a customer. A customer would like to have this product. They would like to have a discount on these transactions. So please build out the offer in the context of what I'm talking to you. And that changes the entire user experience which the relationship manager is having. So all of those are amazing use cases. And in the years to come, we will be unlocking much more than what we do today.
So you rightfully said that AI is actually the talk of the town. In October 2023, Zafin launched Zafin IO and Zafin Data Fabric to accelerate banking transformation. Could you just elaborate on how these offerings simplify the integration processes and reduce core modernization risks for banks?
Yeah, very, very good question. See, when we go to most of the banks in the world, especially the tier 1 and the tier 2 banks, one among the biggest challenge they have is how do they take the data where it exists today and make it available in a consumable form for other applications to leverage the data, like Zafin. So if we have to be very successful at a bank, we need access to transaction data, account balances, account data. So a whole bunch of data. That's a magic, right? If you have access to all of this data, then we can do a whole lot of magic for a bank. But the challenge which the banks had was this data was sitting in legacy systems or in multiple systems, right? So how do you bring all of this in a seamless way into a common layer which allows use of data? And the bank basically said, we have what we call as ETL tools and a whole bunch of technology they have been using for that purpose, which is good and it serves a set of purposes. But what we needed was a little bit of a modern approach to it and figure out how we can simplify the experience which the bank has. So we went to the banks and said, don't worry about transforming the data. Don't worry about orchestrating the data. Just send the data to us in the way you can. It simplifies the bank's job. And we take the responsibility using Zafin IO and Data Fabric to not only integrate and orchestrate the data, but also make it available in a form which can be used for analytics purposes, which can be used for data intelligence purposes, etc. So that is a big step we took in 2023. And to be honest with you, we always presented it as an optional component to our clients, because of course we wanted to give them the choice of using their internal tech versus what we are offering. And I can tell you 7 out of 10, they go for Zafin IO and Data Fabric because it just simplifies their efforts, their dollars, and the time it takes for them. Because time is value, right? So if I can do something in 6 months, which typically would take 18 months at the bank, then I would definitely like to entertain that option.
So you are simplifying things for the customer, like you rightfully said. Time is something which is quite real out for people out there. Zafin emphasizes the importance of customer-centric innovation, and you guys have been doing it for the last 2 decades now. How does Zafin empower banks to create products that are responsive to evolving customer needs and the market conditions?
Yeah, so that has been an ongoing challenge in the banking community, right? So, for example, I am a retail customer. I have current accounts, I have credit cards, I have a personal loan. If you go inside a bank, these are sitting in 3 different systems, to be honest with you, in most cases. Yeah. And then for the bank to say that, let me launch a proposition, which basically says that if you are using my current account in a specific way, and if you are doing a minimum spend on my credit card, and even if you take it to the next level, saying that if you're spending at these retailer outlets, and if you're making your personal loan payments on time, so there's a mix of behavior, there's a mix of usage, utilization. If you do all of this, then my proposition to you is that I will basically give ABC. It can be a fee rebate, it can be points, it can be cashback, whatever be it, right? So you exhibit a behavior, we reward you for that, right? To build a proposition like that, the amount of effort a bank has to do today is pretty significant. So if you want to do it in a systemic and automated manner, a lot of integration, a lot of changes in multiple systems. So what happens in most of the banks today is they put some ad hoc layers on top of it. They do a lot of manual work to make this happen, etc., etc. So this is where we come in. We are saying that abstract the product pricing, abstract the data through Data Fabric, Zafin IO. We have the data, we have abstracted the product and pricing logic. Now you have the freedom to do pricing the way you want it. So launching a proposition in the market, which used to take 6 to 9 months and cost perhaps millions of dollars at a tier 1 bank, is now doable in 2 to 3 weeks because you've set up the infrastructure to do that. A bank in Canada who we work with very closely has today in market around 65 offers. So these offers are for doctors, for small businesses, for people who are first-time home buyers, etc., etc. And the reason why they are able to do that is because of the flexibility they've brought into their operating environment using technology like Zafin.
The rewarding customers is really sweet, and we know that partnerships in tech industry is a very crucial thing. Zafin has also collaborated with companies like Microsoft, with 10x Banking. How have these partnerships enhanced your platform's capabilities and supported banks in their modernization efforts?
Yeah, so these are 2 different kinds of partnerships, the way I look at it, right? So Zafin, when we started our business in 2002, we used to deploy our solution at the bank. So what we call as on-premise, right? It is deployed on the bank's hardware, the bank's infrastructure, etc. But in 2015, as we were looking at the market ahead, we saw that cloud is going to be a big adoption, is up for a big adoption. Banking community was not very gung-ho about it, but the rest of the industries were picking up cloud as a big acceleration in their journey. So we decided we want to move all our capability to software as a service model on the cloud. And for us, it was a big decision at that point of time because I don't think anyone else in the market was doing what we do on the cloud. So it was a big step. And while we took that big step, we wanted to partner with someone who actually can walk that journey along with us. And that's where Microsoft came in. They have been a fantastic partner to us. Since 2016, we have been working together. So we have 9 years of experience of working together in rolling out software as a service solution for banks on Microsoft cloud infrastructure. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, Microsoft Cloud is used by different banks globally, but we would be one of those unique providers where we are doing significant processing loads on Microsoft infrastructure because we are a heavy-duty transaction processing application. And Microsoft also sees the value in us. We work together. We always continue to figure out how can we add more value to the clients. So look at Microsoft as an amazing technology and cloud enabling partner for us. Now, a flip to organizations like 10x. So 10x, Thought Machine, Finxact, all of these are what we call as the new age cores. These are systems which has been developed as cloud native solutions, built for scale, built for purpose, which most of the banks are today experimenting with. Now, what is good about those solutions is it is built for purpose and it is cloud native. So we work with them to ensure that if the banks want to launch new use cases like buy now, pay later, or any of those kind of solutions, they rely on these neocores, and we have already pre-built connectors to them. So what that does, when the bank chooses to implement one of them, Zafin is already plugged into that infrastructure, so the banks can connect to us very easily and again use that for propositions and pricing strategies.
So there are a lot of terms that are used in the field of technology. It's like throwing your visiting cards at the crossroad. There is data unification, there is analytics, and these are very vital for banks to actually aim to personalize services for the customers. How does Zafin enable capability through data unification and insights?
Yeah, so data is everything, in my opinion, right? And if you have the right data available at the right time to look at, you can make decisions for the business you're running and for the customers you're serving. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. So if I look at it from that perspective, I'll give you a couple of examples. As I told you, some of our an example of one of our clients, they send us almost 10 terabytes of data every day. Okay. And that is the data we have at hand for that customer. And we have gone back to them and unlocked so many use cases based on that data. Now, I'll give you a few examples of what the market is able to do today, which they were never able to do before. So data comes to us real time. Of course, we use it for pricing decisions, billing decisions, etc. But there are additional things which now a product manager or a relationship manager can do. I'll give you an example for each one of them. I'm a product manager at the bank and I'm responsible for multiple cohorts. Like I have a cohort of people who are doctors. I have a cohort of people who are small businesses. It can be anything. So think about a capability where a product manager can come into a user interface and say, here is my cohort. These are the conditions of the people that fall into this cohort. And can you monitor the behavior of this cohort for the next 2 weeks so that I can understand how this cohort is behaving? So there are two things that are happening here. One, you're creating a dynamic cohort. It is not something which is predefined, agreed. It is something which a product manager can define on the fly, right? And the second is you can decide what you want to monitor and how you want to monitor as a business person with absolutely zero dependency on an information technology resource, right? Now that allows a product manager to see what their customers are doing, how the products are being consumed, and what tweaks that they can do to those products. The second part of the story is a relationship manager. I've done a deal with a customer. I've given them huge discounts. And the discounts are based on the volume commitments they have given to me, right? Or there are rewards which I'm giving to the person based on the volume commitments they are going to meet. So now comes another data product called signals. So I can define saying that, okay, if the customer is not reaching their threshold volumes, signal me so that I can have a conversation with the customer to say, well, you're not meeting your volumes, so the discounts I extended to you cannot be done. Or, by the way, if you do a bit more of the volume, you will reach a reward threshold, which will allow you to do a better fee structure with us. So now you are actually serving the customer and providing a totally different customer experience. So these are all the amazing things. So having data is great, but the second part of the story is how do you unlock use cases using that data which are relevant to the user community at these banks.
And Mr. Venugopal, looking ahead, what trends do you foresee in banking technology, and how is Zafin positioning itself to continue driving innovation and supporting banks in their digital transformation journeys?
So I'll give you a quick example, right? Before the pandemic and after the pandemic, you see how people behave at work, right? Microsoft Teams has become the go-to place for everyone to have a conversation. Whether it is a chat, whether it is a video call, Teams call, that's a place where people come together. So you should look at that as a user experience. So when I wake up in the morning, even before I check my emails or my messages, I check my Teams to see, okay, what's happening today, right? It's an example. So one among the big things that is going to happen in the banking industry is how a bank user interacts internally for various functions and how customers interact with the bank. That user experiences is going to demand a lot of different kind of capability from a technology perspective, right? I, as a user today, can go use ChatGPT or equivalents, and the amount of knowledge I can get out of it is pretty significant. Now you go into a bank, and if you ask the same information, and if you cannot get the same user experience, then the customer and the bank, they don't have the same kind of experience which a customer is expecting from the bank, right? So I believe there's going to be a lot of improvements and enhancements happening in the area of how the customer interacts with the bank, how the bank staff interacts with the bank systems. Point number one. I also believe that data is going to be playing a critical role in making decisions, not only making decisions, but also making it available to regulators in the context of audit proof, compliance proof, etc. That's the second part of the story. And the third part of the story is rewards and loyalty are going to make a big comeback in the banking industry. If you look at the rewards and loyalty game today, it's pretty much restricted to credit cards and perhaps some debit cards. But that's going to become customer-wide. And you look at the true relationship of the customer, because now you have access to all the data. And now you can actually come up with propositions and rewards models for customers based on their behavior with the bank.
Well, I guess it's understood that the banking industry is in a constant state of evolution, driven by technological advancements and the ever-changing needs of customers. Companies like Zafin are playing a crucial role in empowering banks to navigate this complex landscape, leveraging the power of AI, simplifying integrations, and fostering customer-centric innovation. Mr. Venugopalan, thank you for sharing your valuable insights. It was truly a pleasure. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you found this conversation insightful, don't forget to subscribe to Techcetra for more deep dives into the world of technology and business. Until next time, stay secure, stay smart. This is your host, Karthik, signing off.